So good morning, everybody. If I could have your attention, glad to be back. I missed the last couple of breakfasts with the chiefs. Different personal things I deal with, but things are good. I'm in a suit today because we're actually interviewing DPW directors all day yesterday and today. So hopefully we'll have some recommendations to the Board of Selectmen and we can get that process done. I'm also on the search committee for the town manager. We're working with a consultant firm, MRI, out of New Hampshire. The plan is hopefully to have 3 candidates for the Board of Selectmen for their June 25th meeting, so we can get that done and have a town manager in place. So 2 very critical positions that we're working on right now, leadership positions in town, and it's going very well. A couple of updates on the police department. Real happy to report that Advocates, which was the first breakfast with the chief, they came in, clinicians in the cruiser. That program has been implemented. Its second full week was this week. We've utilized it on a host of different areas, from substance abuse. They actually evaluated a couple of arrestees from Northborough and Westborough where the people were held to get some help, some extra assistance. So this is a jail diversion program that we're really proud to roll out. They helped us with death notification this week. So it really is something that we were able to enhance what we do, another tool for our toolbox. And it's going very, very well. Another brief update on the police department. Besides Advocates, our traffic officer position is going very, very well. Still, #1 complaint, even coming in today, people asking traffic-related questions or crosswalk issues. We have a grant that we're utilizing right now through the Commonwealth where we are doing targeting enforcement for crosswalks and other traffic type violations to keep people safe. But Dominic Annunziata is our traffic officer. He has been extremely busy, doing a great job. So if you do have any traffic related requests, you can go right on our webpage. It's our strategic traffic enforcement program. We call it STEPS. Fill out a form. If you don't see us for a while, just kind of do it again, just because we get so many requests. And he's out there really, really kind of targeting our areas where there are concerns in town. Obviously, another program we're real proud is you're going to meet Officer Polseno, Caleb, and his partner Lukas. They right now are out on the road working on a daily basis. Caleb will be going to narcotics training, probably late August, early September, I believe. So he'll have dual purpose here in town. And he can explain to you kind of what the dog does, what his program's all about. But again, this is something that we've been able to bring back to the community. Westborough has a long-standing tenure in the canine program. Officer Allen, Chief Gordon, Sergeant Reel and Sergeant Goodney, who just recently retired, all had canines. So Caleb joins that rank of officers and supervisors that have served Westborough and beyond. Officer Polseno is also part of the Central Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council Canine Unit. So we're able to assist communities, throughout Worcester County and Middlesex. So we're real proud to say we're a part of that, helping others in times of crisis. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to Officer Polseno.
Hello, everybody. I know you probably don't want to hear me talk, you just want to see the dog. I get it. So as the chief said, this is a new program. Westborough's had canine programs in the past, but this right now it's been about, I think, 10, 12, 15 years since the Westborough had their last dog. We trained patrol school with Boston Police Canine Unit. We got out of the class the first of the year, and we've been on the road since. It was a 14-week class in which we traveled from Boston to basically all Eastern Mass. I drove 10,000 miles in 3 months going to training. So it was a lot of work, but we made it through. The dog is extremely, extremely smart. I really can't say that enough. Most of the training that we do, you do something with the dog and they get it right away. It's really more about the handler figuring stuff out, because we're idiots. And we basically, we hold the dumb end of the leash is the saying that is used. So right now he's a single-purpose dog because we went through the patrol school, and I'll explain in a few minutes what the patrol school, what he learned in that. But as the chief said, in August we're going to be going to the narcotics school, and then that will make him a dual-purpose dog. So he'll be a patrol dog, which basically means he finds people and apprehends them, and then he'll also be able to search for drugs. Lucas just turned 2 in March. To get I get all the same questions from people all the time. Where's he from? He's from the Czech Republic, and people say, why is he from Europe? Germany, Holland, Czech Republic are all countries that have the line of working dogs goes back like 150 years. Here in the States, it's just not. We don't have those breeds that have the long lineage of working dogs. So all this stuff that Lucas does, it's literally in his blood, and it has been for generations, 50 generations. Plats. So he's usually a pretty good listener, but he gets anxious because he has 2 things in his life that he cares about. One of them's in my pocket right here. It's a ball with a string. And the other one is me. But number 1 is this thing. This is what he lives for. Everything that we do, well, not almost everything we do is ball reward. So he does what he's supposed to do, and he gets this thing, and that makes his world. Some of the stuff we did is food reward. There's a lot of different ways you can train dogs. Everybody has their own way. If you go to one trainer, and then you go talk to another, and then you go talk to another trainer, they're going to tell you that they're the only ones that know how to train dogs, and it's a whole thing. But we did a little bit of food reward with obedience, but mainly he's very ball driven. He doesn't care about food that much, so this is his thing. Look at his food. So he'll do whatever I want him to do just because he wants to play with this thing. Here. So as simple as it seems, that's really how simple it is. You can get the dog to do almost anything you want, just so he gets the opportunity to do this, which he will do all day long. It is kind of ridiculous. So Lucas is with me all the time. If you haven't seen the cruiser that we have, it's a Ford Expedition. It's all black. You'll see us around town. Anytime I'm around, Lucas is with me. So we're a team, and we're always together. He comes home with me at night. He does not come in my house. He actually has his own kennel out back that I built. It's basically a glorified shed. It's actually kind of nice. So he has his inside space, and he also has outside space that's covered, cement pad covered. So that's his digs. If he's not with me working, if he's not working with me, if he's at home, he's in his kennel, hanging out, relaxing. Lucas. So one of the toughest things to do with dogs is, with Lucas, is what we call outing the dog. So if he has this in his mouth, or if he has a bite sleeve, or if he's on somebody with a bite suit, the toughest thing to get dogs to do is to let go, because they're having fun. Why do they want to stop having fun? So you will notice, even just messing around here, I might have to tell him a couple times to oust, which is to let the bog off here. One of the things that Lucas was not good at in the class was what we call an alert. So if we're looking for somebody, or if we're doing a building search and there's a suspect in a building, he's trained to find that person. And when he finds that person, sit. He's supposed to alert, which all that means is bark. For whatever reason, every dog has their things they're better at and things that they're not as good at. His alert was not very good, but we've been working on it. Lucas, sit. What's up? So he's gotten better. When we started, he'd bark once or twice, and that was it. But so that's all good stuff. So to talk about what Lucas actually does, it's pretty simple. He's basically trained right now as what I was saying earlier, a patrol dog. Basically what that means is that he finds people and he apprehends them. Apprehend is a fancy word to say that he bites people. It sounds a lot better to say he's going to apprehend somebody than he's going to bite somebody. But that's what it is. So we trained a lot in building searches. So you think somebody's in a building, or you have reason to believe somebody's in a building. We put him on a long leash. Nothing happens off leash like he is now. If he's working, he's always on a leash. We don't like just release the dog like you see in movies or anything like that. So if he's going to do a building search, he goes on a 30-foot leash, and he goes out ahead, and I follow as he clears rooms, clears closets, until he finds or doesn't find somebody. House. Lucas. Good. Lucas. Good. So, another thing that he does, which is the basis to everything, is just basic obedience, which is what we've been doing here. Sit, stay, foos. So just to have him listen, this is what we spend most of our time doing. Sit. It's just having him listen. So in the class, we spend probably half of every day that we're training just doing obedience, stuff like that. So as far as finding people, another thing that he does is tracking, which is the most difficult thing to do, especially as a handler. Maybe not so much for the dog, but as a handler, because you need to read the dog. If you send them out on a track, there's a lot. It seems simple. Like I said in the movies, send the dogs, and you send the dog out, you think the dog just miraculously finds people. It's a lot harder than that in real life. You need to know your dog, you need to know his behaviors, you need to know when he gets off the scent, when he gets back on the scent, how hard is he pulling you. There's a lot going on. So that's probably, as a handler, the toughest thing to do. And just because of where we are geographically, we do a lot of tracking out here. Like I said, we trained with Boston PD. They don't do a lot of tracking because they're in the city. Most of the stuff they do is what we would call just an area search, which is the same thing as a building search, but it could be outside. If they think they have a suspect in an area, just like a building search, put the dog on a long leash, send the dog out, and he'll search the area until he clears it, if he does or doesn't find somebody. We also did agility work, which is like you see on TV, the dogs that jump and go over things and jump through hoops and go through tunnels and all that kind of stuff. We do a pretty basic agility course with the dogs. And really all that's doing is training them for real world circumstances where they might have to jump through a window of a house, they might have to jump into a car window, they might have to go under a deck to find somebody. It's all just environmental training for the dog. So when you come across stuff in real life, the dog isn't freaked out by it and they don't think anything of it. Another thing with the agility stuff is there's things with dogs that freak them out, like ladders, because they can see through it. You want to try to get a dog to go up a ladder. It's not easy. It took weeks to get him to go up a ladder, but now he does it without thinking about it because he's done it probably 100 times. Along those lines too, with things like railings, graded steps where he can see through them, it completely freaks dogs out. Elevators, things like that. If you're in a real world circumstance and you're going after a bad guy and he happens to go up a set of stairs that you can see through, and that your dog stops at the bottom and is like, I'm not going up there, that would be a bad day. Yeah, food. So a lot of the agility stuff we do is real flats. So he wants his ball right now, because we're playing with it. But a lot of the agility stuff, it's just environmental training for the dog. Flats. So like I said, we're on patrol now. I act as any other patrol officer for the department when I'm working. I just have the dog with me. So like the chief said, we don't only service Westborough. We're part of the SEMLEC, Central Mass Law Enforcement Council, which consists of over 60 towns, and it's an agreement with the towns. And SEMLEC has different units. Drone unit is new. I think the chief's talked about that in the past. Canine, crash reconstruction. They have a SWAT team, and it's basically just different officers from all the agencies, and we work to help each other out. So in this area, there's probably 10 or so dogs on the SEMLEC team. Plaids. It's hard to get him to relax when he wants his ball. And we respond to all different towns, so we don't only service Westborough, and that also means that other dogs, if I'm not available, will come to Westborough also. We're going to go to the narcotics class in August, which is 6 weeks. The patrol class we did was 14, like I was saying. And when you get certified in narcotics, it's a pretty cool tool for police officers, because say we have a reason to believe there's narcotics in a vehicle that we stop. We can put the dog out on that vehicle, and if the dog hits on the vehicle, it automatically gives us probable cause to search that car. So basically what that means is if we're on a traffic stop and somebody seems shady, we don't go around ripping people out of cars and searching people. It's not how it works. But when you have a dog, you put the dog on the car. If the dog hits on the car, they're coming out, and we have as much time as we want. We can go through that whole car and search it. So it's a great tool for getting drugs off the streets. And I think that we're going to have that opportunity once we're all trained up.
Can you explain article searches to them too?
Oh yeah, I forgot about article searches. So another thing that he does as far as finding people, he also will find what we call an article search, which could be also called an evidence search. So he's trained to search an area, and basically what he's looking for is anything that has fresh human scent on it. So I've actually used this on myself, as my bosses already know. I lost my keys at one time, and actually we were still in training. Another dog came to do a track. We had what we thought was a house break. I went with him. I had these keys tucked in like this, which is the reason I have this clip on them, so I don't do it anymore. I got back to my cruiser and I realized that I didn't have my keys, and then it hit me. I was like, I have a dog that knows how to find keys. So I took him out. I retraced my steps back where I knew that I had walked, and honestly, it was two minutes, and he found the keys. So what he does like I said, he's just looking for a fresh human scent. It could be anything. It could be a cell phone. It could anything that somebody was recently touching. Say somebody throws a gun out of a car window. Just happened in Webster the other day. You can put the dog out. He's going to search and search and search, and when he finds something with fresh human scent on it, he downs class. Just like that, and he'll put his nose on it. That's what his alert for finding the article. Like I said, he's going to be a narcotics dog. He's going to be a narcotics dog. The other avenue you can do for a second purpose for the dog is EOD, which is bomb dog. You can't do both. You can do patrol in narcotics or patrol in EOD. You can't have an EOD in a drug dog. So he's going to be a drug dog. Hopkinton has an officer who did the patrol class with me. Sit. the Hopkinton officer just got out of the EOD class, so just right here in this area, we will have, hopefully, a drug dog and then a EOD bomb dog in Hopkinton. When I say bomb dog, that isn't just bombs. It's firearms, ammunition, explosives. There's like 25 cents, I believe, that they're imprinted on. So we actually just had the Hopkinton dog come into town last week to try to find a gun in the garage. There was no gun in the garage, so it worked out. But the dog did find like a box of ammo that was in there, so that it worked. House. Lucas.
Can you talk about the funding source in your cruiser?
Yep.
How we made this?
So, as you know, everything costs money, and canine programs cost money. So to get this program started, we utilized the Stanton Foundation. They're out of, well, the local office is out of Boston, but it's an endowment of close to $300 million that was left by one of the first owners of CBS. And what they do is, their mission is basically, their mission is to give out money to people. And one of the things they do is they do police canine programs. So we were able to utilize that grant. I think the total was 43,000, roughly, 25, 40. So that paid for the dog, that paid for almost all of his equipment that we've had to acquire at this point. It paid for the class, the training we went through. It also covered overtime, because I was away at the class. Any overtime that was created was covered by the grant. So the amount that the town of Westborough has had to put into the program at this point is very minimal. Most of it was covered by the grant. Yeah. And then the cruiser that we have right now was also basically free to the town. It was through a Homeland Security grant. The car was actually utilized by Auburn PD, a canine officer there that retired last late summer into fall. So the car was sitting for a little while. The chief and the fire chief were able to acquire it through Homeland Security. And basically we just had the cruiser transferred to the town of Westborough. Again, no cost was involved there. So we lucked out as far as funding for the whole program. The Stanton grant is really made for the first 3 years of the program to get you started, which is where most of the money is up front. And then after that, it'll be up to the town, but the costs are pretty minimal.
No, I think you hit it. We're looking at probably over 6 figures right now that didn't come out of taxation, which was great. So this program was 6 months ahead of schedule because of Homeland Security. We were able to acquire that vehicle at no cost. And like I said, moving forward, he'll have all the equipment. So it's just a matter of now food for the dog, vet bills, along those lines. And there's some equipment I do want to purchase. The canine unit at the end of the year, where we may use some budgetary funds if they're available to kind of make that grant last longer. If we can get 4 or 5 years out of the grant, that would be great.
Speaking of equipment, this is another question that everybody asks me. Does he have a bulletproof vest? Here it is. This is the dog's. I think this is probably one of the cutest things I've ever seen. It really is. It's pretty neat. If you guys want to, anybody wants to touch it, feel how heavy it is.
Then he'll know how to find them.
So this was donated by Mass Vesta Dog. So this is another example of, it's a charity really is what it is. This was completely free. We didn't pay $1 for this. This is, as far as I can tell from the website, it looks like this is $2,600. And literally all I did was contact Mass Vesta Dog, talk to a guy on the phone. He sent out a sizing kit. I did the sizing kit on the dog, sent it in, and like 4 or 5 weeks later it showed up in the mail. It was easy as that. So once again, this didn't cost us anything. this isn't, I'm not gonna have this on him driving around. It's just not practical. Oh boy, but if he's going into any sort of situation where somebody could be armed with a knife or a gun or a weapon or anything like that, this is a great tool to have on him just to protect the dog. Obviously, it's an investment. So there it is.
Also, one way they get the money is they sell calendars. I know the dog
Correct.
shop down on Route 9 used to have them for $10. I don't know if you can walk in somewhere and buy them locally, but you can buy them online.
Absolutely, yeah. So like I said, it's Mass Vest a Dog. All of their money comes from donations, and like she said, they have a yearly calendar that they sell that you can purchase. I want to say it's $20 now, but I could be wrong. But also, you can just go on the website and just donate to them, or donate to Lucas's fund. Any donations that are taken in by Mass Vest a Dog, 100% of them go back into the whatever dog you put down on the website. And that can be done at any time, even just because he has his vest. Mass Vest a Dog isn't only about giving out vests. It's about giving out money to help the canine programs.
And we have set up a gift account with the Westborough Police Department just for the canine unit. People do call us and say, can we make a donation, to the canine unit?
I have a question
Absolutely.
about the vest. Is he going to outgrow that vest?
No, he's basically full grown right now.
Okay.
Shepherds grow pretty fast. By the time they're a year old, they're basically full size. They just fill out after that. So he's, right now, I want to say he's like 82 pounds. So any growing that he does is because I'm making him fat, really. So I just cut back on his food. Which when I got him, when we first went to training, he was the fat dog. They wanted him to lose 10 pounds, which he was 85 pounds to begin with. Right now he's a little over 80. So, yeah. So I'm going to try to keep him right around 80 pounds, if not a little bit lighter, just because the more weight that he carries, that's more weight he's carrying around, jumping around. It just wears him out. The leaner they are, the better they are to be a working dog. Okay. So other than the ball, this is really his only other reward, and it's simply just a tug. And this is also one of his favorite things to do. But what he's doing right now is his favorite thing to do. There's nothing he'd rather be doing than tugging right now. And it's kind of tough because we're on this linoleum floor. So he's not tugging that hard. If we're in the grass or something like that, he literally can pull me over. But this is also a great training tool. Like I was talking about earlier about telling him to out and outing the dog. Lucas, sit. For whatever reason, he's a lot better when we use this than he is with the ball. Sit. Out. I can play with him, mess with him a little bit. He won't take it until I tell him it's okay. Okay.
What other types of exercise does he do? How do you keep him fit?
We play fetch multiple times a day. You'll see me out, actually I play out back with him a lot. I try to wear him out like 3 or 4 times every day. Just because he's in the car a lot. Got some grip on him. He's in the car a lot, so I don't want him to be that bored. Another thing is when the difference between a normal person's dog and a working dog like this is that he's trained to catch bad guys. So there's a lot of things I do with him that I would never do with a normal dog. If I was alone with him and we're playing with this tug right here, I'm pretty rough with him. Not in a mean way, but simply just like hitting him and doing stuff. If he goes to apprehend a suspect, they're not going to be like, oh, okay, dog, I'll go with you. They're going to want to fight him. So he needs to be used to just getting hit, getting punched. This is all fun to him. He loves this stuff. He's like, this is great. Loves it. You can just like grabbing his eyes, grabbing his face, tugging his ears. He loves it. He thinks, see, he loves it. He's excited. Yeah.
I think you just answered my second question, which is, can you use them to find children?
Absolutely. So that just goes back to tracking. He can track any person. When we train for tracking, he either ends with a bite or what we call a civil fine, which he found the person, he just gets his ball. Because all the work he's doing is just for the reward of the ball.
So how do you tell them the difference between good guy and bad guy?
We don't. That's up to me. So if we're tracking somebody, we're tracking a child, go ahead. It's up to me to make sure he doesn't go screaming around the corner, because there could be a kid around the corner and they could get bit. So that's really up to me. There's no way to discern to the dog, we're looking for a bad guy, we're looking for a good guy. Other than, if we are looking for a bad guy, we do announcements where we say, police come out, you're gonna get, like we're doing a building search, police come out, you're gonna get bit. He knows what that means when I say that. So there's two reasons to say it. So the suspect comes out, a lot of times they're gonna give up, but also it tells him what he's doing. He knows he's going to find a bad guy. When we talk together in the cruiser, we talk about bad guys a lot. It gets him fired up. We're gonna go find the bad guy. We're gonna watch the bad guy. If
Is this you and the chief talking, or is this me?
Me and the dog. Me and the dog. So if you, so like when we sit at the Rotary, I say watch him, and he watches people because he thinks he's gonna get out and get to bite somebody. So he gets in tune. It's a lot of fun to watch.
I have two questions.
Go on.
Can he track lost pets?
No, so he can only track people.
Okay.
He can't track animals.
And the next question, since he's ball driven, if he chases a burglar that happens to have a ball and throws the ball, would he go after the ball? Or
Don't give away the secrets. We don't want people to know that. That's interesting. I've never heard of that happening, but that would be a good idea. If you're going to be a burglar or something in the nighttime, bring a ball with you, and you're probably not going to end up getting bit by the police dog.
Or a squirrel.
Or a squirrel, yes.
We'll have to edit that part of the video.
Sure.
Attracted to other dogs? And how do you control that if he's on duty?
Him, like I said, every dog is different. Some dogs are crazy about other dogs. Just his personality alone, he's very, very laid back. Like we got made fun of in the class because he's so laid back. So for him, distractions were never really an issue. No matter what he was doing, he really doesn't care what's going on around him, which is a great attribute for a police dog because he's focused on what he's doing. There were some dogs that were distracted by everything. One of the jokes is a squirrel. Like the dog sees a squirrel and they want to chase the squirrel. It's a thing. But he doesn't care about anything. Birds, geese. I play with him in a field up here that always has geese in it. I was afraid he was going to chase the geese. He literally runs by them like they're not even there. He's a weirdo. But any other questions or anything?
Yeah, what's his life expectancy?
Lucas, here. So, life expectancy or working life expectancy? So, yeah, so working, it's kind of an unknown because you never know what's going to happen to a dog. They could get hurt, they could get sick, but the hope would be that he just turned 2. In an ideal world, good boy. In an ideal world, he'll be able to work until he's 8, 9, 10 years old. I know Marlborough's dog, I think, don't quote me, but I want to say the Marlborough dog is 9 years old, and it's at the very end of its working life.
So it's pretty short.
Yeah.
It's okay for work.
Yep. So basically what you do with your dog is, like he's brand new, he's a young dog. You train every day until they get old, and then unfortunately the dog passes away when it's perfect, or close to perfect. And then you get a new dog and you do it again. So it's just an ongoing game.
Where do they go when they retire? You get to keep him or?
I hope so. To be
Oh,
honest
good.
with you, I haven't even really looked into that.
So yes, it's in our policy actually, that if he gets sick or if something happens, Officer Polseno will be given first rights to say, I want to take him home with me, if it's possible.
I'm taking him home with me, just saying.
So he will stay with his handler. He'll stay with his handler until he's not with us anymore. And just briefly, just to introduce, Sergeant Rossi's here. Sergeant Rossi is Caleb Polseno's immediate supervisor. So when I was back in Auburn, I was in charge of the canine unit, and that was Officer Lundgren, whose vehicle we have now, would report to me. So when Caleb needs something day to day, he reports to Sergeant Rossi. Sergeant Rossi is also part of SEMLEC. He's on their SWAT team. So he has a working knowledge of how that interagency, how that works, and he's very supportive to Caleb. So we're real excited to have this program back in Westborough to better serve you folks. And I'm proud to say, and honored to say, through the Stanton Foundation, through Homeland Security, and through all this team's hard work, we're going to have a successful program for years to come.
Any other questions?
Does he have any fare with other dogs? Does he ever go out and play with them? Or do
Yep, so at home I actually have I have a retriever.
Okay.
That's a normal dog, comes in my house and we cuddle it and hug it. He plays with her. I waited months. I was really afraid that he was going to go after the ball and something could happen, but he's perfect with her. It's good. So he plays, he does have another dog friend at home.
Yeah, I like to hear that.
So when you find someone who's trained to just hold them in place, right? Like just what you're doing there, not mauling, just fight them and hold them.
Yes, that's actually a good question. And you're absolutely right. If he's going to apprehend somebody, he's not ripping somebody apart. He's grabbing onto somebody and holding them. That's it. So, not that wouldn't hurt. It would, but he's not, like you said, he's not at all trained to maul people. That's not at all
So
how they're trained.
when he does that, is there a particular body part that he goes after?
No.
Just wherever is.
Wherever he can get his bite on, he's gonna grab it and just hold, like he's doing right now. Anybody else?
I have another question.
Sure.
Is he trained to stop dog attacks on people? Because lately I've been
No. No,
okay.
he doesn't do anything
Okay.
that interacts with other animals,
Oh.
really. Yep.
Scheduling. With the collaborative of all the towns around, do you work it out so that there's one on duty to come in reasonably quick?
Awesome question. Myself and Sergeant Rossi have been discussing this recently. Right now, it's just a collaborative, all the dogs are on call. But we're hopefully going to work something out like that where there's a couple dogs that are expected to go to a call when there's a call out.
Basically, it's a day job, but do they?
Yeah, it's 24 hours, correct. Yep. So
That's actually a
we're
good
working on it.
question. So when we have major call-outs, we had a couple of kids who took off from a school once. We just had, there was a stolen car, they were doing car breaks in town and they crashed. So we had 3 suspects off on foot. We used multiple dogs. So SEMLEC will come in and multiple dogs will come in. So Officer Polseno's one track, we had the Lourie canine on another, then Marlboro. And we did locate 2 of the 3, and then we did identify the 3rd on the car breaks. But it's 24/7. So Caleb works a split shift, so he's on duty the 4 to 12 shift and day shifts, and there's some canine handlers that work midnight shifts. So a lot of times they're on duty, and then others will call him in and he'll get overtime to come in.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would you ever use him in a prison?
Would I?
Would he be used at?
No, Lukas himself would not, but there is dogs that are. There was one, I think just one dog in my class that was going to a jail, and they're trained all the same things. There's nothing special about it. because it's really just about apprehending people. So that there are still dogs in jails now.
Is he always on duty?
Yes.
So he doesn't wear a different collar to be?
Nope. So like right now, he knows that we're done playing.
Yeah.
Like all done. Just because I put him on his prong collar, so he's a little more relaxed. He's like, all right, we just played for a while. Now we're just hanging out. But that's all just in theory. Sometimes he's more fired up than he is. You know, he has days where he's just crazy. He has days where he just doesn't want to work. I mean, dogs are dogs. Yeah. Any other questions? I don't want to keep you guys all day. Nothing?
I have another question. I know one of the surrounding towns, which one is it, has a therapy dog on the police force?
Franklin?
Yeah, Franklin just, and there was I just saw another one too, in the last week or two. Franklin got a lab, therapy dog. To be honest with you, I don't really know anything about it.
Does Westborough ever plan to get a therapy dog?
Not at this point, no.
Therapy dog is individual.
We have the clinician and the cruiser.
And Lucas gets hugs too. Except I'm the only one that gets hugs. So that's all I have for you for now. Thank you. And, thank you very much for listening. That's Lucas's first round of applause. So I will be around. I'll see you guys. I'll never be shy to come up and say hello. I'm usually pretty friendly, you know. No, not with you. Not with you.
That's a question that's asked a lot, you know, can I pet the dog? And unfortunately, no. You know, he's always on duty, and we don't want to confuse him.
I'm going to give him the commands that is the command to go out and find an article. And when he finds it, he's going to lay down plats. Just like that, and he's going to put his nose on it. Lucas here. So, seeing that he's off the leash right now, I can just walk around and say we're outside in a large area. If we're outside in a large area, I can just walk around and he'll kind of stick with me, and we can clear an area. See, he wants the ball.
I want a reward.
He did put his nose on it though.
Yeah.
Twice.
So as you can see, that was literally just a quarter.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, is this my tip?
1903 silver dollar.
So you can kind of see quickly that it doesn't take much odor, and you can see how strong their nose is to find that. What, it took them 30 seconds. Obviously, this is a pretty easy area, but it doesn't take much scent for him to alert on something. Look.